6 seasons, Kevin Sorbo played the strongest man in the world.
What's it doing? I don't know. But I got a feeling it's going to be ugly.
But in real life, this Herculean actor faced his own mortality.
I was calm, thinking, well, this is how I was going to die. I remember saying it to myself.
The intensive care nurse, totally wigging out, saying, "We're going to lose him, we're going to lose him. Call the doctor, get this guy back down to the OR."
In the next hour, we'll explore the life of Kevin Sorbo. We'll learn about his early days in show business.
I was a model for edible underwear.
And about the crushing disappointments.
Well, you know, he was told he had the role of Superman first.
After years of struggling in Hollywood, Kevin finally fulfilled his dream.
Oh gosh, Ronnie. The producers came on the set and said, you know, we just passed Baywatch as the #1 show in the world. And you kind of go, in the world?
I think he learned a little from me, and I learned an awful lot from him.
But life at the top was lonely until...
Something about her hit me right away. I moved in right away.
From his small-town roots to the wilds of New Zealand, Kevin Sorbo's story is one of dedication and drive.
I believe if you stick with it, you know, good things can happen.
This is Kevin Sorbo, Celebrity Profile.
Hercules. Yeah, it's Hercules. Hercules. Thanks, Eddie Murphy, for that.
Kevin Sorbo was born on September 24, 1958, in Mound, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis.
I was child number 4 of the 5 kids. I have 2 older brothers. My sister's, she's the one in the middle. She had to put up with all of us boys, and this myself, my younger brother. And, you know, I grew up in this Norman Rockwell sort of picturesque neighborhood.
Kevin's father, Lynn, was a school teacher, and his mother, Artis, a nurse. Both thought Mound was the ideal community to raise their children.
For 26 years, we lived in the same house. He was 11 months when we moved in it. And we lived on a cul-de-sac. So we were the only mothers in the neighborhood that told all our children to go out in the street and play.
Kevin's younger brother, Scott.
It was a very stable home. It was a great environment, very secure environment. Mom and Dad loved each other very much.
The Sorbo house was a popular one, according to longtime friend John Schwingler.
You know, you knew Mr. Sorbo. I didn't go to the same junior high where he taught, but you knew Mr. Sorbo because he was a biology teacher, and you knew him because Kevin was a good friend of yours coming over to their house when they had 5 kids growing up.
All the parents were teachers. All of them had, you know, anywhere from 3 to 5 kids. So we had this huge neighborhood of kids to play with. And, you know, we made up our own games. But, I mean, for sure, football, basketball, baseball, those games. But we'd make up all these different bike games and frisbee games. And we had a hill in our front yard. We'd make up all these games just basically beating the tar out of each other on this hill. You know, we're being kids.
Though Kevin had a lot of friends, he had to work for the approval of his older siblings.
I was sort of caught between my youngest brother and my 2 older brothers who were 5 and 6 years older than me. And, yeah, you know, I think my older brothers certainly influenced me, and I wanted to sort of hang out with them, do things they wanted to do, but they didn't want nothing to do with me. I was this little kid hanging around, you know.
An athlete in the making, Kevin's earliest sport was golf.
My dad, in the summers, managed a public golf course, so it was there for us, and it was just something we could do. We could play barefoot, and we'd run around in shorts and not wear shirts. There was no dress code there. So I have great memories of, you know, going back to my brothers, I have great memories of going out there and just playing golf, you know, running around barefoot to see how quick we could finish 18 holes.
Golf was wonderful for the boys. I always knew where those boys were. They're on the golf course.
Kevin's parents made sure their boys were taught the importance of both playing and working hard.
I started a paper out when I was only about 8, 9 years old. I would get up every morning, like 5:30 in the morning before school, 6 days a week. That was the learning responsibility as, you know, very early in life as a kid. We didn't grow up with a lot of money, but, you know, I never felt that. I knew there were other kids in our school that had more money, but I didn't really care and I didn't notice that. We weren't starving or anything.
At an early age, Kevin discovered his calling.
I was in the 6th grade, and my parents took me to a play. It was a high school production of Oklahoma, so it was a musical of all things, that I remember sitting there and looking up at the stage and watching these people. You know, they were probably crappy actors, you know, I'm sure, but I didn't know at that time. I just looked up there and thought, this is what I want to do.
Kevin kept his ambitions to himself.
I didn't tell anybody. I didn't really pursue what I wanted to do. I mean, if I had my druthers, I'd be a professional, athlete of some kind. But I was a good athlete, but I certainly wasn't of that caliber. So I knew that was on the back shelf. But acting just always kept calling me, and I knew that someday I would do something, when I got up the nerve to finally follow my dream.
The teachers would say when he was little that Kevin is really good in class. He's no discipline, but he's not always with us. And I thought today that's why he was thinking about his future.
Coming up, Kevin's first acting job leads to some hometown exposure.
Everybody came that morning and said, "Hey, we saw Kevin in underwear this morning."
And later.
So, hey, I can't help it, I'm a big stud.
By 1973, 15-year-old Kevin Sorbo knew he wanted to be an actor. But that wasn't something you shared with the guys in his hometown of Mound, Minnesota.
It's weird is because I grew up in this town that was very athletic. And that's kind of stuff you just don't do. You don't go into acting. That's sissies. Who wants to do that stuff for a living,
Longtime friend, Mark Muth.
I mean, you think about, becoming an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer or something of that nature.
So, Kevin kept his dreams to himself and took part in traditional teenage activities.
Kevin was popular. He was always a nice guy, was a good athlete, and a good student as well. But Kevin got along with pretty much just about everybody.
He had a charisma, I guess would be a term, where he could walk into a room and gain attention without doing anything really.
Yeah, I dated a cheerleader. I play, I started on the varsity football team and the basketball team.
Our snow days week, here in Minnesota we have a lot of snow, so there's a week we celebrated. Kevin was one of the princes. Kevin, he brought up in front of the high school, the whole gym, paraded out there in front, and I think your parents were there with you.
As the years went on, when I got into high school, all these productions are going on, and there's an acting class right there going on in my English center when I'd be coming out of my writing class, whatever, and we walk by the room, and everybody make fun of him. I'd be the last guy going by the room. I'd be like, what are they doing? I want to know what's going on here.
Though Kevin snickered publicly at the drama students, he took his academic studies seriously.
We had to be at school at, I think, 7:20 in the morning, and at 7:10 every day I'd hear that Mustang fire up across the driveway, across the street. I, of course, would not be quite ready and have to sprint out to the car, and he'd be waiting in the driveway going, "Where are you? Where are you? We're going to be late. We're going to be late." And we were never late.
After school, Kevin and his buddies gathered at a local hangout.
The A&W. We hung out at the A&W. We thought we were cool. We get our licenses. We're only 16 years old. You can't drive together because that's not cool. So, we'd have this parade of, 8 guys driving down the main street of Mound, which is, they had one light I think they put in sometime in the mid-'70s. I mean, there wasn't even a stoplight in town. And we'd work our way, sort of meandering through the back streets and going by girls' homes that we thought maybe someday they'd like us.
In 1977, Kevin graduated from high school and entered college. The 19-year-old was still reluctant to take the leap into acting.
I didn't officially enroll in classes. I used to just sneak in the back and sit in the back room and sit in the dark and just watch things and see what people were doing. I was still really intimidated by it all. I was intimidated by the prospect of going after a career that I knew nothing about. I bounced around to a lot of different universities. I started at a state college, Moorhead State University. I popped over to another college, University of Minnesota Duluth, and I popped down to the University of Minnesota, went back up to Moorhead State. I was very restless. I was chasing a double major in marketing and advertising and not really enjoying what I was doing.
In 1979, Kevin reached a turning point.
I realized that if I'm not going to follow my dream now, I'm never going to follow it. I'm not going to go after this career, then what am I going to go after? I went down to Phoenix with a couple of college buddies. I used that road trip as sort of a soul searching for myself, to try to figure out what was I going to do? How much longer was I going to keep fooling myself that this was the road I wanted to take when I wanted to be over on this road? I finally said, this is it, this is what I want to pursue. And into my senior year, I only had 16 credits left to go to finish my double major in marketing and advertising, and I left. I had a friend down in Dallas, Texas, going to SMU down there. I called him up and I said, "You want a roommate for a